Ships that raced the wind, swords that wept, a civilization that shook Europe with its legends, the Vikings. The Viking Age is generally considered to span from 793 to 1066. During this period, Scandinavia, present-day Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, established a vast sphere of influence through seafaring, settlement, raiding, and trade across Europe, the Atlantic Islands, and eastward. The first major Viking raid on the Lindisfarne monastery in 793 deeply shook the Christian West. The wealth and vulnerability of monasteries there presented a great opportunity for the Vikings. Many people think of Vikings solely as barbaric warriors, but they also lived as farmers, craftsmen, traders, and explorers. Born in the shadow of snowy fjords, this people were hardened by nature, but their harsh environment also sparked their creativity. The geography of Scandinavia, fjords, mountains, long winters, and limited farmland, made the sea and waterways essential. Factors like climate change, population pressure, and land scarcity drove them toward migration and raiding. The structure of Viking ships included different types such as the longship and the tnar. Longships were used for warfare and raids, while knars were designed for cargo transport and long-distance voyages. Archaeological finds like the Gokstad ship demonstrate the Vikings' mastery in shipbuilding. For example, the Gokstad ship's length, use of materials, and construction reflect this skill. The stern and bow of the ships were often symmetrical, allowing them to reverse direction without turning around. The sea was their stage, storms, glaciers, and unknown horizons couldn't stop them. Their ships had a shallow draft, meaning they could travel up and down rivers, giving them a major advantage in launching surprise raids deep inland. Vikings were able to navigate without modern electronic devices like a compass. They used tools such as sun compasses and sunstones to locate the sun on clear days, and navigated by the stars at night. Ships were not only used for war and trade, but also played a role in burial rituals. Famous leaders were sometimes laid to rest in ship graves. The speed of longships could reach an estimated 15 knots, which was significantly faster than many other ships of the time. Warrior or farmer? Being a Viking meant living as both. The social hierarchy consisted of jarls, nobles/chieftains, carls, free farmers and craftsmen, and thralls, slaves. Home, family, and seasonal cycles shaped daily life. Farming, animal husbandry, fishing, and preparing for winter were essential for survival. Role of women. Women managed the household and farm, and some engaged in small-scale trade. A few women were also capable of fighting. They had property rights, divorce was possible, and inheritance laws varied by region. Belief, mythology and rituals. They lived in Odin's shadow. To them, death was a new beginning, an honorable call to Valhalla. The Vikings followed a pagan belief system centered around gods like Odin, wisdom, war, Thor, thunder, protector, and Freya, love, war, magic. Sacrifices, rituals, festivals, runic inscriptions, and cosmological beliefs influenced every aspect of life. Death and burial rituals. Some prominent individuals were buried in ships, along with their belongings and weapons. Rituals meant to carry them into the afterlife. With the arrival of Christian missionaries in Scandinavia, the Viking view of gods began to shift. This brought both conflict and cultural exchange to Viking society. Raids and warfare. Viking raids were often carried out as surprise attacks, either at dawn or during the night. They would land swiftly using longships, seize loot, and retreat quickly. In battle, they used close combat weapons such as axes, spears, and swords, defended with shields, and wore armor or chainmail. Bows and arrows were mainly used for support. Famous Viking raids. Lindisfarne raid, 793, deeply shocked the Western world. Sieges of Paris, the establishment of the Danelaw in England, and Varangian trade routes in what is now Russia. For Viking warriors, honor was just as important as bravery. Post-battle reputation, the sharing of loot, and abstract values often outweighed material gain. Capturing enemies and slave trade were significant aspects of Viking warfare. High-status prisoners were often ransomed for wealth. New lands meant more than just treasure, they symbolized hope, new beginnings, hidden harbors, and endless horizons. The Vikings were not only raiders but also traders. They bought and sold goods like fur, amber, ivory, fish, grain, and slaves, reaching distant lands through their trade networks. Explorations and settlements. Settlement of Iceland, 874. Greenland, 985. Vinland, around 1000, by Leif Erikson. Major trade centers like Hedeby, Denmark, Birka, Sweden, York, England, and Dublin, Ireland, served as key hubs, linking not only the north but also connecting the Vikings with broader European trade networks. Even if not defeated by swords, their beliefs ultimately changed the stage they lived on. The rise of Christianity, driven by missionary efforts, royal political interests, and growing trade connections, gradually began to replace pagan beliefs. The unification of Scandinavian kingdoms, increasing external pressures, economic shifts, and conflicts with local populations all contributed to the decline of the Viking Age. As Norway, Denmark, and Sweden moved toward centralized monarchies, Viking influence started to fade. In England, the creation of the Danelaw region led to Viking settlements blending with Anglo-Saxon culture, further transforming their legacy. Even if the legends have faded, their shadows still live on, in our culture, our language, and our literature. The Vikings weren't just warriors, they were sailors, traders, farmers, and artists. They were all of these. What was the most surprising thing you learned about the Vikings? Let us know in the comments. If you were inspired by the Viking story in this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next episode, where we'll uncover the untold sides of another historical figure. History lives on, as long as it's told.